Welcome to those of you who are back for the second ever live stream show here on Land Your Bets. We are going to be getting a bunch more people in here as we move along, so I'm going to wait for people to get in before I start giving out my bets. But I'm going to remind you to subscribe to the page, like the video if you could, all that together. Yesterday we went over a bunch of stuff, but I don't think you'll hear what we did. Some pretty good stuff out there. We didn't necessarily go back over it, right? And we had to follow along on Twitter as well as Boogie and it as well. That's where we put up all that stuff, and then also in the community post tab. It's really useful on YouTube, following along on YouTube, where the majority of you are, I imagine. I am going to be looking at some sides here. It's so wild today right now, man. The computer reports are absolutely cuckoo bananas. It just is hitting it. I'll just have playing that one. We've got guys like Jalen Williams on the Thunder who are questionable guys doing shoot arounds, right? And all that kind of stuff. We don't know exactly playing. This affects us. A lot of and then don't even mention the Spurs and Timberwolves who have all of the 5 or 6 players in that game. Combined, looking at questionable tags right now with Paul George, Leonard, and that. So I'm going to just get right into a couple of the things that I'm looking at here and then take all the comments that you guys have. So definitely let me know what y'all are thinking and what you want to know about. We're going to get into some stuff here. Ooh, I have some mic. My bad. Hold on. I'm being told I'm having some mic issues. How about now? Everybody good? Let's see. I think we should be good now. All right, too loud. Turn it down. Good stuff. Good feedback. We'll turn it down a little bit. I'm also a loud talker, but let's get into a couple of things I'm looking at for myself here, and then we'll move past what I'm looking at and get into what you guys want to do too. I did get a lot out of talking to everybody yesterday because what ended up happening was we got a bunch of picks that I wouldn't have otherwise looked at. I started to love the Jared Allen pick. That one hit pretty comfortably. I think a bunch of us tailed with that one. So feeling good about how you guys are coming in and let me know what's up. Let's get into a couple of the things I'm already looking at here in this slate. And I'll just start by sharing the screen and getting into the odds that we've got here, which are pretty interesting. So starting with this Knicks game and the 76ers, really what's important here, man, is like, what is the deal with, let me get this back. What is the deal with OG, right? Is OG playing in this one? That's really all I can bet. Like, I need that info before I can really feel good about it. The interesting thing about OG that I want to show everybody, just going over to, let's open up StatMuse real quick, is basically the idea that he is going to slow things down. Everything just sort of becomes more defensive minded for the Knicks. And I can understand that. But if you look at the Knicks, he's been there since the first, right? So you've got Knicks stats with and without OG Anunoby since January 1st, right? So what's interesting, the points per game are way higher. And obviously that's going to be skewed a little bit by the fact that we've also got Julius Randle has been out as well for a ton of time. So it's not necessarily like it's just OG. But I do think that if you look at the pace specifically, it is interesting that it's been much faster with him in there. 4 possessions per 100. That's a 32 game sample size where you can really look at it and go, okay, 11 points differential plus the pace is that much faster, right? Like they're a bit better on defense as well, obviously with OG in there. And his on-off numbers with this team are also pretty interesting. If you look at the on-off stuff for the Knicks and how they play with him on the floor when he's been in there without, it is pretty much slow with him in there. So do with that what you will, right? Like I think there's some things that are a little bit skewed by the fact that Julius Randle has been out as well, and he's so important for how this offense plays. But it's really more about like, is OG going to play in this one knowing that we don't have Julius Randle? And if he does, I honestly lean towards the over in this one as it's gotten betting down all the way to 207.5, right? That's not something that that's not an NBA score. And obviously we've seen a bunch of these games go way under. Let me get this right real quick with OG. We're going to do it for him on off since he came to the squad on January 1st. So we've got on off here under for the Knicks. I went to advanced so I can get that pace. And now if you look at on court pace, it happens to be real slow with OG in there since the first. Where's he at? Oh, you know what? I lied to you. He's been picking it up for them. Okay, cool. This was a little bit earlier. I was looking at it differently, but 97.5 And that's really the only dude here that obviously got legit time over the course of these last, what is that, 15-ish, 14 games for OG. That he's actually played in that time frame. Obviously, he's missed a ton of games in there, but when he has been in there, he has sped things up more than any other starter for this squad and anybody else that actually gets legit minutes. So it's a little bit of a misnomer, I think, that if he's in there, everything's just going to sort of slow down and the defense is going to get way, way better. That's not quite where we're at. So I do lean towards the over in that game at this point, now that it's all the way down to 207.5, as you can see, which I'm got bet down from 215, right? And I think part of that is at least the fact that OG is going to be in there. Tyrese Maxey does speed things up as well, so it does seem likely that that would be the case. If you look at the pace for the 76ers over the course of the last bunch of games without him, it slows down a ton. So they really do want him in there for that. And we've got him in there, so we're gonna take that over at 207.5. I'll show the full card here a little bit later as well. Let me get some of this stuff up here so you can see what all these spreads are. The Thunder and Pacers game real quick. I don't have a bet for that one right now. I was looking at Chet Holmgren stuff, and the thing is that now we got Jalen Williams looking like he's going to be available in this game, right? So I'm going to go over to props.cash for those of you who don't know what this tool is. I highly recommend using it. It is a subscription that you need to pay for. It's the only reason I haven't just like pumped it quite as hard is because you do need to pay for it. I do often like to make sure that you guys get the products that I use that are free, right? And at some point in the near future, I will be showing my model a little bit as well. I just don't want to I haven't figured out quite how to do that yet in the way that I want to. So I'll get that out to you in a little bit. But let's look at the Chet game here and go over to that Thunder squad. And really, this comes down to, like I said, is Jalen Williams playing? We now have props for him. He was seen at shoot around, right? So that is something that you kind of rely upon to go, is he even available? Yeah, well, if he's at shoot around, then he's at least looking like he could play. So what that does is kind of impact Chet everything. You see Chet's points have actually gone down. This was at 16.5 last night when Jalen Williams, J-Dub, was still a legit questionable. Now that he's a lot more likely to play, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily feel as good about the Pacers plus 6.5 as I might have before that, although they are like to keep this game moving fast. And Jalen Williams should be helpful with that as well. The thing about Chet that I was looking at that I really wanted to get into was potentially points and assists with his ability to drive to the basket with an open lane. If Shai's not able to get his points off, SGA, Shai, nobody yell at me for the way I say it, please. It's however you want to say it. But either way for SGA, like when he's not, if Chet is his second option, this was a lot better of a bet for me than I would have otherwise been. The thing that I was looking at here was Chet Holmgren with and without Jalen Williams, right, on this season. And so you can see there's only 6 games, but that's a pretty big jump in terms of 20.5 points per game with Jalen Williams without him. I'm sorry, 16.5 with him, 20.5 without him. Basically one more shot per game, slightly better percentage. He's just relied upon him more. The threes go up by 2 per game. That's huge, obviously, if you're talking about Chet's points. So I was really looking forward to that. I even want to look at real quick Chet Holmgren usage rate with and without Jalen Williams. This is where I said it yesterday. I love this tool for simple stuff like this. I just don't want to have to go and dive into all these like fill out multiple filters on another website, right? StatMuse is great for being able to just go into it. Now, I will say I do have an account with them now that I pay for. And so that is something that you might have to do if you want to make sure you get as many searches as possible. With StatMuse, they will limit the amount of searches that you can do if you don't pay for it. So that's something to consider, but it's super helpful for just looking at like the 6 games without J-Dub, right? We're talking about 2 percentage points higher on his usage rate. And that's huge in terms of how often he's shooting, right? Usage rate is simply how often are you putting up shots when your team is on offense and you're in the game. 24% basically usage rate for this dude is really good. And you know that SGA, when he's been in those 6 games, is at least at like 35% at times in his usage rate. So that's going to be huge for him. Just to show you what I mean, SGA usage rate. Let's even do it with and without J-Dub. I wonder if it changes much. Not really, because he's shooting a ton without him, right? Doesn't matter. He's 33% is massive, but that's why I'm actually now gonna have to stay away from Chet. If you are subscribed to the page, you hopefully saw the video from last night with projections and looking at all these games and a couple props that I liked. Chet was one of them, and I think I got to move off of that now. There's another one that I'm gonna look at right now with you guys that I was considering, and that is Dame Lillard and his assist prop. And the thing about his assist prop is it's now at 7.5, and it was at 6.5. And I got it for decent juice last night. So that was the one that I did bet. Now, I didn't bet Chet last night, if you watched that video, as you know, because I was waiting to see about this J-Dub news. With J-Dub at shoot around, it's like, all right, I'm a little bit off of that now. With Chet, like I said, and now for Dame, this has gone up, but I'm still all good. Damn, really? Can't hear you with the music's still, bro. That's on me. That was supposed to be off. All right, we're good with the music. It's not coming in for me, but either way. All right, moving past it so you can hear me. We good? Yeah. Appreciate the update, John Mitchell. But either way, let's move on to the Dame stuff real quick. With Dame, it was a lot about like how does he play against this sack team, which is really bad at limiting assists. So let's actually go to Courtside Pal. Hopefully you know about that at this point, and you can use that freely as well, so you don't need an account for this one of any cost for now. This dude's awesome as well. He also has the Ballpark Pal, I believe, for baseball. If you're looking at that, we'll be looking at some of that stuff too at some point. Coming up real soon, actually. Got my fantasy draft here in about a week. Assists, we're looking at Dame Lillard, Courtside Pal. And once again, if you don't know much about this yet, it is a tool that is much better at predicting team versus player position, but it's not really player position, right? We see a lot of other sites, and I don't want to trash FanDuel Sports, the fantasy sports site that I do use. FanDuel over here provides us with the Fantasy Pros, rather, in terms of team defense versus positions. Right now, I don't always love this because of the fact that I don't trust the way that they have certain positions listed for certain guys, right? And so that's why I'm like, it's not something that I can trust, right? Sometimes you've got my two favorite examples are Josh Giddey is listed on, even on props.cash. Josh Giddey is listed as a shooting guard. And if you know much about Josh Giddey's shooting ability, he is somebody that gets left open on purpose, right? It's because of the fact that he's not a shooting guard. But if he's listed here, I think he's got props up. Is he? Yeah. So Josh Giddey's shooting guard. That it's just not what he does. Like if you want to even just look at Giddey in his 3-point attempts, the only reason he even takes 3-pointers is because they leave him wide open. But it's still only 2.6. Like how are you gonna have a shooting guard that's not even shooting 3-pointers, right? And taking how many field goal attempts is this at? 9 field goal attempts for your starting shooting guard? Like, I don't think that's the case. You compare him to other shooting guards, it's just not the case, right? And so that's what Courtside Pal does here. And all these are links are in the description of the video. So if you are new, like some people are saying like, yo, I can't, we don't know exactly what it is that you're talking about. These links are all in the description of the videos. Courtside Pal is one that I know. My boy Modai out here in the comments. What's up, Matt? He's in there. Jedi Modai, really good YouTube channel as well. Highly suggest following him. Give him a shout out there. But he, I know, also loves looking at Courtside Pal for the same reason I do, which is that like it's just way more accurate at predicting what this actual player, not just what his position is labeled as, but his height, weight, mass, his shot selection, his where he scores from, his playmaking ability, and his rebounding. And those numbers next to each of those stats at categories at the top here, as you can see, all the numbers mean is that they put him into a specific type of category so they can at least like section people by the way that they play, where they play from, how big they are, etc. So if you look at PM for playmaking, and that's what I care about with assists here, you've got Sack giving up the 6th most assists to Dame, his playmaker type, right? And that's going to be consistent with a lot of what you see, even if you go over to point guards. And Dame is a point guard, right? Like we can give Dame credit for being a point guard, unlike some other people who just really pretend, or at least are given the point guard moniker, and really they're not quite as much. But if you look at assists and teams giving up a ton of assists to point guards on the season, you've got Sack here giving up the 4th most. Even if you can trim this down to about 7 games, 15 games, whatever you want, they're still going to be down there in the bottom. This is like bottom 10, bottom 15 or so in the last 7. But let's see who they played in the last 7 for Sack, right? So if we go back to the Sack and Milwaukee game, can look at, let's go back to Dame for a sec. Go up to point. So if you go down here on props.cash, what's really awesome is you can see recent stats for other point guards. Once again, if you believe that these dudes are actually listed as point guards, you can filter this. So we're on points and we filter point guards here, and we see how recent point guards have done. Let's actually get to assists real quick. See that there. And we see how some of these other point guards have done, right? And not great, I suppose, in terms of getting assists versus sack. We have seen some lower scoring games at times for sack, but if you expect this one to be as fast paced as it's been, I believe it's 17 and counting overs between these two teams when they play, Milwaukee and Sacramento. So there's going to be plenty of points and plenty of possessions going on in this one for Dame. All this stuff looks good. One other thing I wanted to show you about Dame for why I would consider it here for the 7.5, which is unfortunate that it's gone up. But it is what it is. We look at how Dame's been playing. So let's go to players and look at those potential assists that I talk about. And this is something that you're going to find here on the NBA stats channel here. You got to go to switch this toggle from teams to players. And once again, this is in the description of the videos. NBA.com/stats will get you there. And we're going to change the players, the general tab here to play type, or excuse me, tracking, right? So for tracking, this is like really where we're at now, is that we're able to track NBA players to the degree that we know what they're doing on each one, driving, what's their defensive impact, how often do they catch and shoot, and what are their numbers off the catch and shoot, right? Points, how often are they doing it, obviously, all that kind of stuff, right? We're going to look at passing in this one because I want to know about Dame's assists and the way that he's sort of like, how is he playing as far as a point guard goes? And I'll talk about that in one sec. So we're going to change this to just look at the Milwaukee Bucks. And I want to know about what's been going on since the break, right? Since the All-Star break, just a good metric to at least I have a barometer of one sort of point in time that I can at least rely on. So for Dame and his potential assists, 14.4 over the course of the last 9 since the All-Star break, right? That's now leading the team. At one point, he was not leading the team. If I take off the last 9 games and we just look at the season, you can see that he's second to Giannis here with 3 fewer potential assists per game on the season, which also includes the last 9. But more importantly, for the last 9, like what we're talking about here is him turning into the true point guard of this team. Doc Rivers also took over a little bit before 9 games ago, right? So we're in that spot now where I think we can rely on what type of player Dame is going to be moving forward, which is a lot more like the dude he was in Portland. Probably slightly fewer shots here and there. He's going to need his threes to really go in because we might not see him driving into the lane as much as he did when he was on the Portland Trailblazers. But we do see him playing a lot more like that point guard that he was, right? So now we've got potential assists up. We've got assists up to 7.6 for him, right? And so that's right on the cusp of that 7.5. What we need to feel good about is everything else I talked about at the beginning with the way Sack gives up assists to point guards, to players like Dame, to players in general. They're also giving up about, I believe, the 5th most assists on the season, or like top 10 or bottom 10 anyway, in terms of the amount of assists that they're giving up this season. But it's also about, real quick, passes received, passes made, right? Like I do like to look at passes received when I'm talking about, is a player playing like a point guard? Because if he is, then he should be getting a ton of passes received as well. He should be the dude at the top of the key, above the break, really staying out of the way as much as possible when he's not involved in the play, but he's facilitating as much as possible. So if he kicks it to the wing and there's no action that works on the wing, what's that wing player doing most likely? Giving it right back to the dude at the top so we can reset the action, right? And that's why passes received is so huge. Obviously, passes made is going to be huge too, because I want to know, is Dame the type of point guard that's just setting up the offense and then stepping out of the way? Hell no, right? Dame's probably getting a pick and roll if he is as one of the first actions that you're going to see from this Milwaukee team, including my man Giannis finally getting involved as the pick and roll the pick and roll man, as the roll guy, right? As opposed to in the pick and roll, as opposed to what he sometimes wants to do, which is like just be the actual ball handler in the pick and roll. We've seen that from Giannis. With Doc, we've got a big difference going here, right? We've got passes made, we've got secondary assists, all that stuff going up for Dame. So there are a lot more chances. I don't love always having to get 8 assists on 14 potential assists, but we're right there. I prefer to be able to at the 50% mark, I think is a good number to expect. And if it's above that, then they're probably playing pretty well. One thing I want to look at too while I'm talking about it is drives for Dame, because I wonder how that has been affected by the fact that Doc came in. There was a really good article about how Doc came in and was like, yo, we're going to actually have Dame going to his left off these screens a lot more instead of to his right, because that's what I used to fear as a coach when I would play against Dame. When he was on the Blazers, I hated when he would go right or when he would go left, right? That scared him a lot more. So for drives on the season, yeah, we got drives on the season for Dame. In terms of drives per game, 12.7. All right, pretty good. But I wonder if that has gone up in the last 9 in terms of his drives because they expect him to be a bit more of a point guard or not. Yeah, okay, so that's gone up. Like I said, he's driving a lot more to his left. That's all good. I love the way that he does that. Now his passes off drives, actually, yeah, Giannis's are higher. Someone was asking me about Giannis's assists. I'm gonna get into that in one sec. Where are you at? Yeah. Jase Soho was asking me about that, and I like that. We're going to get into some of the Giannis assist stuff in a second, even though his, like I said, potential assists have gone down. Is he at 6.5 real quick while we're talking? Yeah, he's at 6.5 too for kind of bad juice on that one. So it's kind of the same concept. He and Dame have both been diming up close to that. I'm a little bit more scared of that. Let's take a quick look while we're on it. Now that you got me thinking about it with Giannis, because the fact that he's dishing so much off of his drives has now got my mind spinning a little bit on this one. All right, we've got, let me get back up to, so we've got team ranks. You got to make sure you obviously go team ranks versus player type. It's down a second. Assists, we've got Giannis in there, and we've got playmaker type. So for sack, not great. I mean, look, sack gives up assists, man. So they're going to keep giving him up. So I'm not necessarily going to ever cite like poo-poo an assist prop against this squad. How's he done against them? 2 of his last 3 going over the 6.5. So that's fine. Why does this mic keep going out, bro? Are you kidding me? I have no idea, dude. How we doing? Can we? This is worthless if you can't hear me, obviously. Should be good, but all right, cool. Check your headsets. I've got my audio coming out on the other side. It seems fine. All right, cool. We're good. But no, let me know if you can't. Obviously, I want to know. Either way, that's not something I'm super fond of just yet. I mean, with Dame, like I said, you got to feel good about that. The other thing I want to look at real quick, we can look at play type. This is what I was talking about with pick and roll ball handler, pick and roll man, right? And this is going to be the most basic and free way to do this stuff, right? So it obviously, I keep talking about the model that I do want to show you at some point because it does have nice little like green and red like highlights on it to be able to see. But let's look at some pick and roll stuff. We're gonna have to filter this differently. So when you see play type, you might not be able to just go ahead and get this like advanced filters. That's when you got to go down here to this little filter button right here. That's what that is, to filter. And we're going to go to the team, and that's how we're going to get Milwaukee. The thing I can't do is look at it. I can't split it up. That's right. We can't split up play type in terms of the recent game numbers. This is where my model does that, though. So I got to look at that differently from what's on screen for a minute. But frequency in terms of the pick and roll, this is pick and roll man. We've got Giannis at 7. I don't know how he used to do those, so that's annoying. Pick and roll ball handler, though. Let's see what Dame is at right now. Yeah, 43.5% of the time. That's a lot. All right, cool. So he's doing that, right? And that's good. But that also he's driving off of that as well, as you can see from the way that he drives. So either way, I do think that's a decent play. I'm not going to necessarily put too much on it right now. The way I've got this for myself, and this is going to be, I'll show you the full card here of what I'm talking about here in just 1 second. One more thing I wanted to look at, and then like I was saying, definitely let me know in the comments there if y'all have some people that you want to see about, if there's some props that you're like, I'm not sure about this one. Let's see if we can put it through basically this sort of archaic version of my model, which is like what I keep saying is a model is just something where I'm pulling the numbers that I'm looking at right now and I'm throwing them in one spreadsheet so they're nice and easy to view for myself. Like I said, I also have some conditional formatting in there for the nerds who like that, where if it's a certain number, it's a certain percentile that's good or bad for a player, then it comes up green, that kind of stuff. But for now, this is the sort of archaic play of doing it. So if you do have anybody that you want to hear about, let me know what you think in the comments there with some players that we should look at. But here's something I was just looking at maybe a couple hours ago. Once I still don't know, though, if OG is playing. He still does not have props up, and I don't think we have any updates for him. Let me check real quick on the Twitter machine, because that is where I get these updates. And yeah, we still got OG listed as questionable, but either way, this bet is not super affected by it. What I'm looking at here is Mr. Kyle Lowry. And with Kyle Lowry out, we were able to take advantage once, at least, with his assists over. We went over 5.5 in the one that he did get over. And then he kept kind of like not going over 5.5 for the assists. But I want to know what happens when Tyrese Maxey comes in, and what does that do to Kyle Lowry, right? So one quick thing we can look at here, what's really nice here for Mr. Lowry, if you look at his points alone, it's a pretty good number. And that's where I would lean to just stick to that. But I want to know about his PA as well. We got 12.5. You can still get plus 102 for that. What's the number? Yeah, I mean, minus 106 is a really good number for 7. You can get even money over here on DraftKings and MGM if you have accounts there. Even money for him to get over 7.5 points. Really nice bet. A lot of green there. But as I always talk about, like, I'm not just looking at, sorry, that was head to head. Let me be a little bit more accurate. My bad, y'all. Head to head versus the Knicks. Does love playing the Knicks. Should put that out there. A lot of those games were on the Heat, and some of them were in the playoffs, as you see here. All these games on 5/6/23. That was playoffs 5/10. These are all playoff games. The only game here with the Philly 76ers against the Knicks here, I believe, is this one. If we're looking at head to head, that's on March 10th, which obviously was just a couple of days ago, and that was without Maxey. But what happens with his field goal attempts and all that with and without Maxey? And I'll get into the SGA bet here in a minute. Crack Sparrow, which a great name, by the way. I'll get into SGA assists here in just 1 second. You're talking about under there, and we can look at that. But let's look real quick at Kyle Lowry. His first game, he's played 8 games with this squad. So Kyle Lowry with and without Tyrese Maxey last 8 games. He's got 5 games played with Lowry and 3 without Maxey and 3 without, right? The minutes obviously went straight up without Tyrese Maxey in those 3 games, 32.8 minutes and 9.3 points per game. So that's obviously pretty good there for the over 7.5. The assists actually are up a little bit with Maxey. He's that point guard with a better player around him when Maxey's out there. So that was my thought process too. Was like, wouldn't Kyle Lowry be more of the point guard once you get Tyrese Maxey out there, or does he take more or less shots? And it's 1.3 fewer shots. That is significant, and especially from 3, that is significant to the points. 5.3 threes versus the 3.2 that he takes with when Maxey's been in there. And this is a small sample size. And so what I want to actually dive into a little bit more deeply is like, well, okay, but which games was he playing with and without Maxey? What's been happening when he does have Maxey out there? So let's actually look at this with Maxey for a sec. We're going to take, we can nicely filter how we want to play this with or without Tyrese. So in the last 10, he's played with that's it. Yeah, so with Maxey, he's played in the last. Let's see, he's played 6 with Maxey, gone over this number in 4 of them. Assists, same thing. Actually, gone over a little bit more in all of them because he has a few more assists in these games as well. 5, 7, 10 over here, and this is with Tyrese Maxey in. So that's why I like adding the assists because they do those. That's the thing that goes up a little bit when Tyrese is back for Kyle Lowry. And just as importantly, like let's look at the minutes because the minutes here are actually a little bit more correlated to what am I trying to say here? They're a little bit more correlated to when he started playing with the 76ers rather than when with or without Maxey. So like the first one here, we have, this is a different game. This is when it says with Maxey, that just means Maxey's in the game. And so this one right here was actually played with the Heat against the 76ers on the 25th. He was still on Miami. That's why he had 33.4 minutes and it says with Maxey, but he wasn't on Maxey's team yet, right? Like this is the first game right here with Maxey. And that was actually also against the Knicks. Actually, that might be the other one too. Yeah, no, this is with the squad. So this game actually is not with the 76ers. So either way, just as important though, like he does like going up against his team. Now we're talking about him doing this in basically 3 of 5 with Maxey. But look at the minutes. The first game he played with this squad, 25.1 minutes per game. That makes sense. 21, 23, right? And those were 2 blowouts here. Milwaukee, he played 21.1. And against Boston, he played 23.2. Those were blowouts. So I'm not putting as much stock in that. But now you're talking about with Maxey in the game playing 36.5 and 33.1 minutes per game when he actually had Maxey out there, right? And so that's going to be a bit more of what I think we can rely upon for what his minutes are going to be in this game. So if he's going to get 33 to 34 minutes in this game with Maxey, I do expect him to be up at a pretty good number, at least to be able to get over the number that he's hit. Obviously, he's played some bad teams as well, but like at least he does have this one with the Knicks with Maxey in this exact situation for us to feel pretty good about. So I am going to go with Kyle Lowry as well. I'll put that bet up here in a second for you. And there was one more I want to look at before I look at SGA under assists. You know what? Because you're here already, Crack Sparrow, I don't want you to feel like you have to stick around too long. Let me get into the SGA assists for you. Let's look at that real quick. Obviously, I want you to stick around. But either way, like let's see what this is for you since I don't want to make you wait, basically. We got assists at 6.5, and we're looking at it under initially against this Indy team, right? So we definitely got to put this through some stuff before we feel good about it, just because it's at 106. Oh, nice. Well, yes, that is worth a lot to me, Modai. Modai is on this as well. And dude is up. I don't want to short you, Modai. Let me know if I'm wrong, but are you up near 50 units on the season? Maybe already at that, I'm pretty sure. So this is a dude that gives you plus money bets with a fervor, and they hit consistently enough that he's up a very good amount. So let's look at the assists and run it through real quick. Let's put him in here, and I'm very confident that Modai threw SGA into the courtside pal transmogrifier here for our Calvin and Hobbes fans, if you know what I'm talking about. Assists versus this Indy team. I got to imagine Indy does. Why doesn't Indy give up assists? I never remember why they don't give up assists, but this is a great start, right? And so under -102, yeah, that's right. 65 units for Modi. My bad, dude. I wish I had the triple air horn sound right now. Burr, 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 burr. That's fire for sure. Dude's killing it. Definitely give his channel a view for sure and sub to that thing. I know I am, but let's look at the like I said, the transmogrifier. What's the best number we get under here? It doesn't look like we're getting any more juice, right? Yeah, this has been bet down by the steam pusher over here, Modi, moving things along for sure, because now the under is at -125, -119. I believe that's the best one you can get. And they don't, yeah, this is good. Yeah, I hope you guys are following along in the comments. They don't send help in terms of Indy, so that's why they don't give up a ton of assists. That makes a ton of sense. I would be willing to bet that if we look at Indy ISO defense, it's not going to be great, would be my initial guess. They don't really need to give up assists. Oh, well, look at that. The worst team points per possession in terms of ISO ball, right? So when the other team is playing isolation, they're not sending help, which is exactly what Modi said in the comments. This proves it as well. It just supports it that in terms of isolation, this is the team worst at defending isolation. So that means you don't really need to pass off of this, do you? You just really need to make sure that you keep going to the basket, and you'll probably either get fouled. Yep, you'll probably either get fouled, fifth highest rate there in terms of fouling on ISO plays. So yeah, this all makes a ton of sense, dude. I think this makes perfect sense right here for SGA to go under. In terms of PGs, getting assists in general, let's see, last 7 for Indy, giving up the fewest in the league. Yeah, really good find. This is why we do this, man. I appreciate you bringing that up, Crack Sparrow. That's a fire look. And obviously Modi confirming things for us makes me feel good about it. He got the juice, like he mentioned in the comments. -102 is way better than -119. I think that's still playable at -119 if you want to look at that. I think, one other thing I want to look at too, just to add to it, I'm going to go to teams and I'm going to go to team tracking, because we can look at how teams do. Can I look at that? No, I can't. I can't look at how. Yes, I can. Wait, teams. Here we go. We're going to go teams passing, and we're going to advance that to versus all teams, right? So this is how players do, or teams rather, do in terms of potential assists against Indy. And maybe they're not as high because they don't give up assists, just helping support us. So potential assists against Indy are about middle. Where are they at? Probably middle of the pack. That eye is always so hard to spot. Where are you at, Indy? Jesus. How is this painful for some of y'all? Oh wait, this is versus Indy. I'm such an idiot. So this is how everybody does in terms of their potential assists versus Indiana. I'm an idiot. This is going to be up at 51. Hopefully that makes sense. So I went to teams tracking. I'm looking at how teams do in terms of passing against a specific team. And I'm looking at how they do against Indiana by putting it at versus Indy, right? So I am going to assume that this is, let's see, 51 potential assists for the Dubs get a ton of assists. It's probably going to be pretty close for each team. This might not be the best way to do it. Let's move off that. Hopefully I'm not confusing anyone. All right, let's see. Yeah, and Modi agrees that the -119 is still a pretty good bet there for Shy under SGA under assists in that one. And head to head, yeah, he hasn't gotten this number against them dating back to last season and just 2 last season that they played against them. So Dave in there talking about Karis LeVert. He did go off with 11 dimes last night, Dave. Great call on that one. Only needed like an assist. So that does make a ton of sense. There's one more bet I want to look at here. And then if anybody has, as always, like I said, let me know what you got in terms of comments so that I can get some picks out there for you as well. One more I want to look at here. This Houston and San Antonio game is really interesting to me because this has been a whirlwind since last night. If you were following along and saw the projections video, I was originally loving the over for Houston and San Antonio because I was under the impression that Wemby might not play on a back-to-back. He's missed 7 of 13 back-to-backs this season. And now we're talking about him being available in this one. And so that is something that I'm a little bit less feeling good about. Let's put it that way. A couple of things I'll bring up that I brought up in the video last night. this Houston team right here, you can see at the bottom, 26 in terms of strength of schedule their last 5, right? But they've been playing at the 7th fastest pace, and they've been getting out into transition with the 8th most over the course of those last 5 as well. So that leads me to really want to take an over in that game. But now that we got Wemby out there, there's some stuff that we got to look at real quick, which is going to StatMuse, because I like this for the with and without stuff. Victor, I don't think I have to, Wembanyama. Well, now I need to do this wrong. Spurs pace with and without Wembanyama this season. Shout out my spelling skills. I've done this enough time with Wemby this season. You really got to sound out the Wembanyama. The pace here goes up a bit without Wemby, as you can see, much guard heavier, full point, 1 more possession per 100 there. That is pretty important for them to get a few more points. And then you look at Spurs just with and without him. Look at these points per game. Get away from me. Points per game goes up 9 points in the 8 that they played without him this season. Like I said, 7 of those were a back-to-back. So it's surprising to me that they haven't playing again, but you got to get butts in the seats. I understand that. Either way, the points go down, the pace goes down. The thing that I was also looking at, though, here, if you want to, with Şengün out for Houston, is that Houston does have the slowest pace when dude is on the floor, right? This is something I looked up as well by going to the on-off numbers for Houston. I'll just show you real quick. If you go to the Houston page, let me get to them, and you go to on-off stuff and you change it to you go to on-off and you change it to advanced so I can get that pace. You look at what happens when Şengün is on the court. That pace drops a ton. I believe he's the slowest on the team. Yep, 99.2 is the slowest pace on court, right? And then when he's off, they play a ton faster. Obviously, fastest, and it's going to be the obvious correlation there. And we're talking about a bunch more dudes who are going to be getting a bit more time. So, like, obviously, Jabari Smith and company, they play a bit slower because they're starters, right? But Jalen Green wants to play fast, and he does play with the second unit a bunch as well. Everybody on that second unit plays way faster as well. And Cam Whitmore is not in this game, so I do want to keep that in mind. If he was in this game, I would also feel like it's going to get sped up a ton as he speeds things up more than anybody who actually plays for this team, right? If you look at the on-off stuff, the on-off stuff with him on, it's way faster. So all that stuff kind of leads me to want to look at the over. But with Wemby out there and the defense that he plays, it's just a different ball game, man. Like, it's a completely different look. So I think we got to consider being off of that, to be honest. The next place that I was looking in this one is like, okay, well, if Wemby's in this game, how's Jabari Smith going to score, right? And are we worried about what Jabari Smith Jr. does with and without Mr. Şengün on the season? So we got to come over here to injuries and see what his numbers have been this season without Şengün. I don't even know if he's played yet. He hasn't even played any games this season without Şengün. So that is not helpful, obviously. But when we look at Jabari in general, so we're not worried about what he does with or without Şengün. I honestly don't really think it's going to be that big of an impact. It's not like Şengün was assisting him a ton. A lot of Jabari's points actually come either in transition or just right around the rim, or threes if he's hitting. But let's look at some stuff for him and why I was considering perhaps the under on the PRA for him, right? And a couple of things that I would consider here. Let's just look at how Jabari Smith Jr. would do against his playmaker type, or well, just his player type in general, up here on Courtside Pal. There's a couple of people that are in the stream right now that weren't in here at the beginning when I was looking at Courtside Pal earlier. This is a super solid free tool that I highly recommend for anybody who wants to be able to look at player stuff versus a team a lot more accurately than you're going to get when you just give assign a player a position based on his height or whatever, right? Like, it's not always accurate when you look at positions for players. Courtside Pal is going to do a much better job of getting you exact data for guys based on these factors right here: height, weight, mass, shooting, right? Where do they actually shoot from? Where do they actually score from? And then playmaker type. You can go into it and learn all about it, right? Playmaking ability, as all that kind of stuff. So this is exactly how he also lists out the numbers and how he grades them. I would definitely go ahead and look at this stuff. This is super helpful to understand what we're talking about. But for Jabari Smith, let's look at how he does points wise against a team like who are we talking about here? The Spurs, right? So as far as where he shoots from, it's going to be pretty close to the basket. 22nd. This is going to be where the Spurs are best because they started playing Wemby finally, right? I do want to look at Wemby for a second as well because his minutes are up. But you can see 22nd in the league in terms of his ability to score. So this means that this is not a player you want to bet on over necessarily when it's red. This means that San Antonio is actually very good at limiting this type of player when it comes to his points from where he shoots and from where he scores. Looking at rebounds, the type of rebounder that he is. Okay, they give up the 12th most to his type of rebounder. Let's look at assists for his type of playmaker. Give up a good amount of assists too. Maybe we want to stick to the points and the rebounds. But let's look at the way that he has assisted lately as well for Jabari. I mean, not someone that's going to get a ton of potential assists. It's not like he's ever really put in a position like he's driving too closely to the basket. So let's see exactly how he is scoring a bunch of his points. Let's at least start with let's look at his play type and see if he's scoring in what am I doing here? Drives rather is tracking. My bad. We're going to go to players tracking. And also, if you haven't heard me talk about this yet, player tracking is amazing because you can see very specific aspects of how a player impacts a game, tracking where they are and what they're doing, right? Oh, wait, we got an Avdia comment. My bad. I'll look at that in one sec. You asked me that. Good call. Thanks for getting back in there, Russell. We got that. And we also got a Preston Newsome talking about the triple-double for Luka last night. So let's get in there. Who's out for Houston? Jabari rebounds. Yeah, so Dave is already on what I was talking about. It's possible. I don't have the with and without data for Jabari. I'm not going to keep boring you with this stuff because I would prefer to go PRA, but the more I look at how San Antonio defends his type of player, I don't know that you can look at that. And you guys are throwing some stuff at me. So let me just throw this out there real quick, and then we'll just look at all your stuff. The best that I'm looking at right now, this is the card that I put together so far. I did take Kyle Lowry, put half a unit on him to go over 12.5 PA. Dame I took at 0.3 units to go over 7.5. I think it's a good bet, but I'm not willing to throw a full unit on it or even the half. I did take the under for Jabari, and it is based on what I was looking at here. Drives and the fact that I don't think that he's going to score if he can't score around the basket. And I also think Wemby blocks. Like, we lost all steam on Wemby blocks. It's now at minus 140 for him to get that. And that sucks because we were still able to get these at like 2.5 at one point earlier in the season. That's a joke because that's just what he does is blocks. But you can see over 3.5 is hit here for him in 8 of his last 10. This is a team in Houston that you can get blocks against. So first, I'll just quickly show you Wemby's. Thank the Lord I don't have to spell it all the way out again. Damn it. To go pretty far though. Like, you can't even fit it all in the search bar. Victor Wembanyama and his blocks. Right. Let's look at blocks right here. I mean, we can just do whatever you want. Height. You're going to look at Houston and see a ton of ability to get blocks against this team, right? Look at just basically everything. Whatever kind of playmaker you are, whatever kind of rebounder you are, you get blocks against Houston. That's why they give up the 5th most blocks on the season. They're going to, I talked about this with them a little bit the other day. They're going to just be, what am I trying to say? They're going to be a representation of their coach, Ime Udoka. And Ime Udoka is a dude that wants you to drive to the hoop as much as possible, except for that one season when he had the Celtics shooting way too many threes. But he also had them going to the basket driving. And so this is going to be an opportunity for Wemby to keep getting those. If you can ladder his blocks and get them to 5, at least one more for good plus money, I'm not opposed to 5 for Wemby, as you can see. And just to show you exactly what I mean for the Houston Rockets, we can go over to the opponents' information for them and look at opponent blocks. You can see they're going to be down, getting blocked the 5th most here, 6 blocks per game for their opponent. And Wemby is someone who continues to just get a ton of blocks and keep the Spurs all the way up there at 3rd most blocks. That's because of him, right? That is strictly Wemby coming in and averaging the blocks that he's averaging this season. At this point, what's he at? 3.5 blocks per game. So this one, with such a good matchup, I know you get no juice on it, but if you have the ability to add Wemby blocks to something on like Prize Picks or whatever, I do feel good about that as well. So that's the early card. There was a couple of things we were already talking about. Oh yeah, SGA under for sure. We need to add that because SGA under assists is a great play. If you weren't paying attention earlier, or you weren't tuned in yet earlier, the SGA assist is a bet that was brought up by Crack Sparrow. Good work by him or her, excuse me, and also by our boy Jedi Modai, who was in the comments here, has been in the stream, and we love listening to what he has to say as well. Super solid channel. If you look at assists for SGA in the last 10, yeah, he's been going under a bit, but just as important, when we go over to Courtside Pal and we put in Shy over here, or Shay, however you want to say it. If you go down to assists for him, guess who's really, really good at limiting his exact playmaker type in from assists? It's Indy. We dove a little bit more deeply into that. Modai helpfully pointed out that SGA does not get that the Indiana Pacers defense does not give up assists to point guards because they don't switch. They don't help on D. Rick Carlisle leaves his guys out there to dry essentially and says, go ahead and play that individual defense. And that doesn't work. So when you see teams playing the ISO against them, so we go over to play type. and we go over to the isolation play here, and we can change this to defensive, right? And how do teams play against the isolation play? Frequency, they get third most often that the Pacers are playing in ISO, and teams might not even trying to play in ISO. They just don't send help ever, and they give up the most points per possession when other teams are playing in the isolation. So this is all a huge reason for why you just don't think that there's going to be quite as many assists for SGA available in this one. So we go under 6.5 for him in that one as well, which is going to be on the card. Let me look at a couple of the plays we're putting out here. Let's look at Avdia because everyone wants to know about him. And I appreciate that because Avdia is in a position tonight without Jaren Jackson playing. And that is why you see this Washington spread here. Yes, they are road favorites, everybody. The Washington Wizards. I cannot imagine that they've been road favorites yet. Let me go over to the against the spread stuff. Another good website for against the spread stuff, teamrankings.com. That is also in the description of the videos. And the exact link that I have here is already just like I have this kind of filtered over here. You can look at all the against the spread stuff. So I definitely recommend going over to NBA and looking at betting under on teamrankings.com, right? So we're looking at, let's see, how often has someone bid an away favorite, right? Have the Wizards played as away favorites? I can't imagine that they have. Okay, they have 0 games played as away favorites, right? Unless I'm missing them, which I don't think I am. Yeah, they're not around. Okay, Washington has not been an away favorite on the season. Now they are. We don't really know what to do with that, but we do know that they're going to not have any rim protection because of the fact that Jaren Jackson Jr. is not in there. So Avdia is up to 16.5 points. This is what we want to know about, right? And we've got what's his name playing center now. We're looking at probably some Santi Aldama being the primary rim protector, right? Let's see, for rebounds, we're at 9.5. So if we want to talk about PR, 25.5 points and rebounds combined. He has been getting a ton of boards. Let's look at those rebound chances for him because we also should mention that if we look at the injury report here, we do know that Marvin Bagley, how convenient is that? Marvin Bagley is out in this one as well. So that is going to be huge for him. That's a big part of this. Bagley's missed a bunch of games, in fact, as of late. Let's look at how many, and we can see how he's done without Bagley in there. Actually, yeah. So Bagley came over around the trade deadline, right? 2-7 or so. So we can say that, yeah, he's played like 4-ish games without Bagley since he came to the team. Maybe 5, however you want to do with that. Not too bad. Let's just see what's Marvin Bagley game log with Wizards. Why are we guessing? We can just do this. He's been around for a bit. Damn, I didn't realize he came over way early. All these trades that happened in January messed me up for when dudes have actually been there. All right, so this is a legit number here in terms of like with and without Bagley. This goes all the way back to the 10th. That makes sense. And this is with Bagley out, right? We're talking about 4 of 10 overs on 9.5 boards. Let's see. Let's look at the his rebound chances a little bit more. So we're looking at tracking, going back to this player tracking data that we got here. On NBAstats.com, we're going to look at rebounding for him, right? So we're going to filter this for the Wizards, which is always at the bottom and impossible to find. Wizards rebounding. Let's just look at it right now. We've got this for the season. This is super unhelpful because they don't even have the same team. Look at how many freaking people have played at least 1 minute for this team. That's absurd. Even Trey Jemison, who's now and none of these dudes are on the team anymore. Memphis, Milwaukee, OKC, Milwaukee, Dallas, Miami, right? A lot of these dudes aren't even on the squad anymore. Whatever. All right, so this is not helpful, but let's look at let's say the last 10 games for him. And what's the last game that Bagley played? On the 4th, and they've played. Let's just look at the Wizards game log real quick, so I can just do this easily. Come on, man. All right. My bad. Wizards game log. Come on, dog. Fat fingers on this keyboard. They played the last 3 games is without Bags again. All right. So we're going to look at player rebounding for them in the last 3. Also want to know who they played against, obviously, but let's look at that in one sec. We're talking about a ton of rebound chances, I'm sure. 18 for Avdia, right? All right, that's good. We're talking about a Memphis team that is pretty good at limiting rebounds because of the fact that they don't play very fast and because of the fact that they don't have any rebounders anymore. And even Jaren Jackson Jr. is not a good rebounder. So let's see if they how they've actually been doing in terms of opponent rebounds. Let's say in the last 10. I know Jaren Jackson hasn't played in all those either, but like honestly, like I said, not that good of a rebounder for someone his size and ability. They are still giving up a good amount of rebounds. Yeah, 21st in terms of giving up rebounds. Let's look at their rebound percentage over the last 10 as well. It's just hard to keep up with them, man, because they don't even play the same players. But yeah, they're bottom 10, bottom 9 team in terms of rebound percentage, how many rebounds they're giving up. If you've got 18 rebound chances and you need 10 of them, seems pretty reasonable for him. That's what he's been doing on those numbers. Let's look at him in courtside pal real quick, because I'm focused on his rebounds right now. I don't know what to do with the points in this game. I really would have taken an over for this one if it was anybody. If there was anybody playing, I just like look at this injury report for the Grizzlies. What do you do? There's no numbers that we can use to go, well, this is how they do, because we haven't seen them play the dudes that are going to be in this game. They don't even have Lamar Stevens available. We have to actually look at who's available on this squad right now. I actually have it listed right here because I was texting with some people like who's even playing in this freaking game. And right now, if everybody who's questionable or doubtful misses, which they will, we're going to be looking at Luke Kennard, Jake LaRavia, Santi Aldama, Trey Jemison, DeJon Jarreau, household name, Gigi Jackson, and Wenyen Gabriel. And you'll probably remember Wenyen Gabriel from being a cast-off from the Los Angeles Lakers. Couldn't make that squad. Let's look at Denny in terms of rebounds. It just doesn't help, man, to even do it against Memphis. Like, okay, so they are bad against his like power forward-ish type. They have him listed as small forward. This is why, once again, we use courtside pal, because I trust this more than anything. In terms of scoring against Memphis, probably not going to be great, because at times they've had some decent guys down low. Oh, no, actually, it is pretty good. 11th most. So yeah, it's like right around everything for him. So what's been his problem lately? Like, why is Denny not scoring and getting over this number? First of all, it's probably pretty high. 16.5 for Denny. He's usually at 14 or 15, isn't he? I can actually find that. So I'm going to use another link here that is super helpful to find out what his numbers have been as far as his props, right? So this is another link. Betting Pros will help you find the recent prop lines for guys that are good enough to deserve them, I should say. Not everybody, like they're not going to have backups in their prop lines as of late, but hopefully we can get Denny's. Yeah, we can get Denny's prop line. So look at this. Yeah, I was right that 16.5 is high. We haven't seen that yet from him, right? They raised it a full point because they're playing against nobody on Memphis. So he hasn't seen a 16.5 prop line all season. Why is that important? Like, why does that matter? Because it matters, because the books are not our friend. They want us to bet on things that they want us to bet on, right? And so when they first of all know that we all love betting overs way more than we love betting unders, because unders are for crusty curmudgeons. We know that. But also because, if my mouse would work, also because they're going to keep putting it up as he goes up, right? And also public perception. That's what I should be telling you. Public perception is going to be there's nobody good playing for this Memphis team, so Denny's automatically got to get his. But this 16.5 number that we now get for him, and I just want to make sure I'm not lying to you. Is there any 15? Okay, there's a few 15.5s left if you want it, and it's really bad juice, right? For the 15.5. But like that 1 point, man, that's not worth that much, is it? You get plus 100 for, what are you doing, BetMGM? That's wrong. Plus 100 on FanDuel, even money on FanDuel for the 16.5, minus 130. Like, that's not a good enough disparity there. Minus 125 on PointsBet for a full point less than, that's not good to me. So I'm starting to move on the Denny under on points at least, and not like betting it, but just staying away from it. The rebounds I can understand. You have to guess that there's going to be a decent amount of missed shots in this one. In fact, let's look at the game log real quick for the Thunder, the Grizzlies in their last one, which included having Triple J around for that. So like looking at the last game here, my bad, against OKC, we've got Memphis playing. They got waxed, as you know. This was never close. Looking at the box score here, like the dudes who played and are going to get time in this game, I guess is Conchar even available? No, Conchar is questionable. Like, probably not going to play. Going back to that box score. The box score here, you're going to get some Wenyen Gabriel. Vince Williams, Zaire Williams are all unavailable. So, yeah, it's going to be all of these dudes right here that are basically just going to be playing again without Jaren Jackson Jr. So, throw the combo of Trey Jemison and Wenyen Gabriel in there, right? I mean, and Jarreau actually did all right. He had 10 boards from he's a guard. I was like, how did he get 10 boards? But either way, now you also got Lamar Stevens, likely potentially out anyway. He's questionable. So I don't know who's supposed to get boards for these dudes. They shot 33 from three, 41% from the field. Good Lord, right? That's 46 chances. Not to mention, how many free throws did they miss? 18 to 27. That's 51 rebound chances for the other team in this game. 51 rebound chances. Let's go right quickly back here. We've got in the last 10. This, you can't just add these up and be like, oh, this is how many rebound chances they had, right? Obviously, there's some dudes that didn't even play, but you're looking at a good amount. This is 33. These all played in 3 games. Rashawn Holmes didn't play in 1 game, so you can't even add it all together here. But either way, like 18, let's say there's 52 for him. His rebound chance percentage is pretty high. I think Denny rebounds is not a bad bet here. That's something that if you wanted to play Denny Avdia over rebounds, I'm with it. Let me get back into this. Grizzlies are playing for contracts is right, but like, can they actually play? I don't know. Did you, Russ? Do you like the Avdia under or over? I'm wondering too for rebounds. But yeah, I think the rebounds are a good play. Dave's all over it in caps. Let me go back. I know we had some from Josh Hart right here from my guy Hashlinger. I saw you on Twitter, bro. I appreciate you. Hashlinger talking about Josh Hart PR. Let's do Josh Hart real quick as well. If you want to take Avdia, I think it's Avdia, right? With the V first thing. Yeah, Russ spelled it right. Avdia right there with the V first. Yeah, let's see. I think I would hit the over on the rebounds and probably stay away from the points. That's where I might get a little bit testy. But if you think that he's going to score, man, I feel you putting them together. The Wizards money line, yeah, from Mountain Meister. I mean, I get it. I hit them at -1. It's not like I have numbers to back that up. I'm projecting what I think is possible from the Memphis Grizzlies players that are actually going to play, and I don't think it's much. So I'm not loving that. But let me look at the Gobert stuff real quick, because that was the next thing I was on. And we had Josh Hart. My bad. I forgot about you already, bro. Josh Hart real quick. This one is annoying to me. I can't do anything with these Knicks players until I know what's up with OG, right? Like, even for someone like Dante, like if OG gets minutes, if he plays like 30 minutes, which it's Tibbs. Like, Brunson came back probably a little too early from injury and played like 33 minutes. Tibbs will just play you into the ground and grind you into dust. So it doesn't really matter. But the DiVincenzo over or under 18.5 points to me is interesting, because if and I know we're talking about Josh Hart, but this is one thing I was looking at real quick, because if OG is in there with OG, I got it. Yeah. See, with OG in there, Dante's stuff goes way down, because they do a lot of the same stuff. They're both pulling catch and shoot threes. That's what they both want to do. So Brunson's finding one of these two dudes. And when OG comes in, he's just going to eat right into Dante's usage, right? You look at his field goal attempts with OG, 11.2 per game this season with him out there with him. If we look at him without OG instead, and we got to do this from a certain date, because he's had, just looking in the last 10 without OG, we're talking about how many more field goal attempts now? 17.9, right? Versus 11.2. That's nearly 7 more field goal attempts per game for DiVincenzo with OG out there. So as soon as OG is ruled in, I think you got to hit the under on Dante. To be honest, I would prefer the under on Dante, even if OG doesn't play. So if you want to hit it now and try to get ahead of OG playing and predict him to play, I think that's okay. You can see some disparity here between FanDuel and the other books, a full point more on FanDuel. If you want to try to, 2 more on FanDuel between FanDuel and BetMGM, that might be a good arbitrage bet right there. But looking at Josh Hart real quick for my guy, it scares me. What do we want to know about here? We want PR, right? Okay, so points and rebounds. The points is where I get scared of Mr. Hart. He has gone over a ton in the points column here in terms of 12.5. Let's look at Josh Hart real quick, because he's like the exact dude that you need courtside pal for, because there is no Josh Hart position out there between small forward, power forward, point guard. Like, dude is a Swiss Army knife, and that's kind of what this team has a bunch of, honestly. So let's look at Josh Hart real quick, my namesake. Dude's hilarious too. I actually that Roommates podcast is so funny. I'm a Knicks fan, so like obviously I'm gonna love it, but it's friggin' hilarious. Either way, and it's mostly just because Josh Hart just calls Jalen Brunson's head super fat all the time, and that just kills me. But let's look at his points real quick against this squad. Points for Josh Hart's scoring type. against Phil. I mean, dude, Philly's been good on defense, like against guards consistently. Yeah, look at the shooting type, where he's shooting from. Where's Josh Hart shooting from? Let's look real quick at his more of his shot chart. So I'm going to go to players stats over here, and I'm going to go to shooting. And this is where I can look at the exact places on the floor that he's shooting from, which is helpful. By zone for Josh Hart, let's go to the players that are on the New York Knickerbockers. Restricted area. I bet this is what a lot of corner three and restricted area for Josh Hart. Yeah. Fourth in terms of the restricted area, non-restricted. Yeah, a couple floaters in there, and then corner threes. That's been a lot of Dante's. Yeah, see, this is the problem with Dante right now. He's going to get chewed up by OG in the corner. This is, what do we do here? Last 3 games. Yeah, so like Dante is going to get have all his stuff gobbled up. Come on, man. All season segments. All right, let's do it this way. Get stats. All right, cool. So this is the whole season. I think, it's bugging. Hold on, let me refresh. Advanced filters, all season segments for the Knicks. Yeah, see, OG comes in and takes all of those shots in the corner from Dante. Not all of them, but he takes more of them now. Either way, above the break stuff. Is that where's Josh Hart shooting from, dog? Let's look at Josh Hart last 10 games. We've got him going into the restricted area. We know that. Also, yeah, if I got this in 10 games without Mitchell Robinson, yeah, Josh Hart's going to be second in terms of those getting to the rim, in terms of in the paint in general. Yeah, JB obviously loves this mid-range stuff and just right inside the mid-range. Above the break for Josh Hart, yeah, 4.4 threes from up there. Not really getting into the corner quite as much. 1.3, that's fine. Obviously, mid-range for our dude. He's not quite a shooter. That's not his game. It's drive to the basket or shoot those threes. I don't love it. I guess the shooting profile for him is good against this squad for Philly. If you look at where Philly's been giving up points lately, I'm just going to look at that on my model real quick so I can save us time. But if you look at where they've been giving up points as of late, pulling this up real quick. For Philly, and by the way, this total is down to 207.5. I mentioned at the top that if OG plays, I do like the over in this game more than I like the under once it gets down to that 207.5 number. Mostly just because OG doesn't slow things down quite as much as you might think. They've been playing faster with him. Plus, they have the so Philly's just been bad right around the rim, honestly, more than anything, man. And that's super unsurprising considering the fact that, they don't have their best shot blocker and one of the best defensive rim protectors in the league out there. So for the points for Josh Hart, I'm not sure about that. Let me look at the rebounds for you real quick. Rebounds out here against Philly. Yeah, Philly's been giving up a ton of boards, right? And I do think that's huge. If you're going to call Josh Hart anything, you call him a small forward. Let's look at rebounds, small forwards against Philly as of late. Look at that. That's pretty good too. I do think that continues to be a good play. Let's look real quick at the rebounding potential chances here. We call it rebound chances for Josh Hart over the last, what do we got? Do we still have this? Oh, nice. We still have this over the last 10 rebound chances. Look at that. 17.7, 10.4. That's still pretty high, right? Like he's getting a 58.8% rebound chance percentage is pretty high. It's right in between 55 and 60, which is like at the top of what I would say is realistic to expect someone to continue to do, unless you're Jericho Sims and that's your whole job in the 24 minutes you're out there, which I don't think we have his rebounding props up. Even though we got Mo Bamba props, but we can't get Jericho Sims prop. So weird, bro. Sometimes the way that these books give out props, it's just what they feel comfortable with. But either way, for Josh Hart, man, I'm waffling because I'm like right on the cusp of this. If you're gonna do the anything with him, I think I just stick to the rebounds, man. What did he have last game against him? 11. So like I get that. Orlando's gonna be tough to rebound against. Cleveland's supposed to be tough to rebound against too. Is he getting offensive boards? It's just it's tough for me to like put it all together, honestly, for him. So I don't have much more on that. I would lean, if anything, just you would go over on the rebounds more than anything. Obviously, we know. Let me look real quick at Philly's rebound percentage. Let's just do last 10 real quick. 26. Yeah, I mean, not good. We know B-Ball Paul is not going to be able to board. It's just the fact that they're also shooting really shitty. Yeah, second worst effective field goal percentage. There's still going to be hella boards available for both these teams in this game. It's just a matter of like how fast is it going to go with or without OG. So if you take anything, Mo, I would take the over on the rebounds and leave it at that. But yeah, Dante, dude, like I think that's a good under points right now, to be honest with it. I'm going to put him in on my card here at the end for real and just give that to you as well. Let's take under 18.5 points for Dante. Ooh, let me put that. Yeah, I'll bring this back up. And I'm gonna add the SGA assist as well. I love that bet. And what was Dante for the under here? Make sure we're not getting completely screwed. 18 and a half. We can still get minus 115 on FanDuel. I like that. Minus 115 on FanDuel. This might be a nice arbitrage if you want to take over 116 or over 16 and a half on BetMGM. You can definitely arbitrage this thing a little bit. Minus 115 FD. I got to start a new one. All right. Minus 115 FD for Dante. Cool. I'm going to put a 0.5 U on that. Cool. Add that banner. And then, yeah, SGA, we got to get in here too with his assists under. SGA under 6.5. You can get that for minus 119 on Caesar. So I would hit that if you have Caesar. If you don't, you're going to be looking at a little bit worse juice. And once you get into like the minus 130s, it kind of sucks. But that is still a pretty solid bet there. I'm take that for a full unit with SGA because we have the support, the love and support of our guy Modi on that one. Cool. Let me save that and give you guys a peek again. So we've got this full card right now. We've got Kyle Lowry over 12.5 points and assists. We like what happens when Tyrese Maxey comes on the floor, still gets his. And if he's going to be playing the 30 to 35 minutes that he has in the last couple with Kyle Lowry, we love that. Dame, we are going to sprinkle 0.3 at plus 114. Make sure you get at least plus 110 or better if you're taking 7.5 assists over for Damian Lillard. Jabari Smith Jr., we're going to go under because we got Wemby playing in his PRA. I hit that already. I started to like it less as we started to look more deeply into it together, but I already hit that at 0.5, so I putting it out there. The blocks for Wemby, I know you got to eat the juice, but I got to take it. I think with this Rockets team going to be going right into him, and those blocks should be available for him. These bets I like even more as I just put them together for you. The DiVincenzo, I'm about to hit that here in a sec. And SGA under 6.5 assists, I hit a second ago while we were on this stream, and I put a full unit on that one, so I would feel good about that as well. Let's look at a couple more of the stuff that we were asking about. Someone asked me about Rudy Gobert in this one. He's still questionable, right? Like the problem with that game is going to be whether or not like anybody plays. Let's see. Yeah, over rebounds. I feel you on that. Free sauce picks for sure. Over 208 Mountain Meister on that game. Like, I mean, I feel so weird giving out an over in a game that could just be like a 175 total. But if OG's in it, then that's when I'm taking that over. If anybody has news on injury news on these OG or anybody like that, let me know. I love an over for the game. You know, Maxey loves to run. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, J-Miz. I think we're on the same page there. Russ took the same thing. Russ took over in the Knicks game. Nice. Yeah, 95% of the public love that they took the under. Good call on that, Russ. We always love to fade them. Yeah, thoughts on the Jazz game from Russ. Real quick, Russ, let me talk about the Rudy stuff because I just want to look at the Memphis stuff with you guys, or the Minnesota stuff with you guys real quick. I put together a few banners as well where I talk about that. So you got Minnesota at the Clippers. We know we got them. Let me just go to their game on props as well. So yeah, you can see what's so weird to me, dude, is that if you go to the injury report, let me refresh this to get the latest one. If you go to the injury report from Minnesota and the Clips, like James Harden's not on there. But James Harden doesn't have props. So you're telling me that they care more about whether or not, like, I guess, yeah, that makes sense. They care more about whether or not PG and Kawhi play, as well as probably Rudy and Ant. Are they playing? Even Slow-Mo, to be honest, Kyle Anderson for the fact that he plays defense for them. But, like, that's more important to them, to the books, to then whether or not James Harden is playing. The fact that he is playing is less important than if they know that the other dudes are or are not playing, right? Like, I guess that makes sense, but I would love to be able to get my James Harden stuff in there if I could. Oh, look at that. I'm complaining and they just put it up. You complain and you shall receive. What are the assist numbers at for him? Yeah. So the problem here is 8.5. I wanted to look at that, but before I do that, the problem with the Rudy stuff, bro, is just like, I don't know if he's playing. If he does play, this is high. Obviously, we know that. Zubac is in there. What's the head-to-head for Rudy? 3 out of 6 versus this team. Over in 2 of 3 this season. both at home. The one away, which is where this game is tonight, didn't do that. Let's see if he played any of these without Cat, who, by the way, is not very helpful against this team. That's another thing that I want to put up right now. No Cat, no problem. Honestly, like these are Cat's numbers against the Clippers in his last 4 versus them: 17.5 per game on 47% from the field, 28% from 3. Those splits are bad. 109.6 offensive rating for Cat. So he hasn't been like the most helpful dude, honestly, against this squad. Without Cat, honestly, yeah. So last year he did it once against his team without Cat. But Zubac in there is a big deal. So let's throw Rudy real quick into Courtside Pal and see what we got with him. Who do you think I mean when I say Rudy? Rudy G. Rudy Gobert. We got the rebounds against the Clips. It's not going to be good. Yeah, 25th, most likely. How many games does Cat miss now? Let's see. Carl Anthony Towns. By the way, do you know that it's Carl Anthony is his first name and Towns is his last name? A lot of people think it's like Carl Anthony hyphen Towns, but his first name is hyphenated. Carl Towns. Let's see. Last 5 games, because I want to know the last game he played. Last game he played was on the 4th, and Rudy Gobert with and without Carl Anthony Towns this season. Just a quick reminder, I love StatMuse for this because of the fact that I can just get these quick with and without numbers real fast. 16 boards a game without him. What's just his game log without him? Rudy Gobert without Carl Towns this season has gone over in 3 of 4. I get that. How many missed shots do you think are going to be had in this game? You know, like the last 10. I will admit that the Clippers offense hasn't been the best the last 10, but it's still middle of the pack. Yeah, in terms of effective field goal percentage here and how many shots they're missing in general with the true shooting percentage as well, which includes free throw line. That's the difference between effective field goal percentage and true shooting percentage. Effective field goal percentage is just taking into account that 3s are harder to make than 2s. The true shooting percentage takes into account free throw percentage as well on top of that, right? And that 3s are harder to make than 2s, if that makes sense. Rebound percentage, Minnesota's going to have a high one still, aren't they? I mean, it hasn't been as good over their last 10 without Cat in there. Clippers has actually been a bit better. Yeah, I mean, for Rudy, it wasn't ever going to be good. If you look at centers rebounds last 7 versus the Clips, it could be better for them. They've given up 16.5 to centers, and Rudy is truly a center. On the season, they're probably better. Yeah, they were. Wait, where did the Clips go? Yeah, they're a little bit better on the season. Zubac missed a few games over their last 7, which is also why they gave up some boards in their last 7 for the Clips here. But Zubac missed a bunch of games, and now that he's back, I mean, he's got a really, really good individual defensive rebound rating. Let's look at rebound chances over the last 3 for Rudy real quick, and I believe he missed a couple games in there, didn't he? So, or he missed 1 game rather, excuse me, and that was against the Lakers the other night, because they were probably wanting him to play in this game, to be honest, and they kind of forfeited that Lakers game. Rebound chances. This is Clippers. My bad. I was talking about them, so I thought about them. Minnesota. We got over his last 10. That is hilarious. 15.5 boards on 28.5 rebound chances once you take Cat out of the equation. That is wild. That's a lot of rebound chances. Now, who did they play again in their last 3? In their last 3, they played super fast teams and a bad offensive team in Cleveland who missed a lot of shots in that one. All right, I got to roll in a minute. For Rudy, what are we at here with the points and rebounds? Because that was the actual question. 30.5, dog. That is so many. I cannot endorse the over on that for him against a team like the Clippers. Like, the other thing would be pace. How many rebounds do you think are going to actually be available? Let's look at opponent rebounds in the last 3 first. Opponent rebounds. Look at the Pistons. Yeah, Clippers are still limiting a bunch of rebounds, in part because they're probably playing a really slow pace, right? So in their last 3, they're giving up the 6th fewest rebounds, playing at the 9th slowest pace. 95 is very slow. Where's Minnesota in their last 3? 16th in pace, 97.6, right? Like, not too fast either. What's Minnesota on the season real quick in pace? Minnesota and 22nd, so 90. They've been playing, basically at the same pace. In fact, a little bit slower. So yeah, I mean, I don't know that there's going to be enough possessions necessarily. The other thing here for this game, like Minnesota won 4 straight before that last game where it was 89-88. There was no rim pressure for the Clips, which was a huge problem. They took a lot of shots outside the paint and got out rebounded in that one, 54-40. Do you think it's going to be that slow again? That's a huge question to be answered if you want to go ahead and take that. But let's see. OG still in question. How about Cup of Joe? What's up, bro? Which site you're talking about? Let me know. I'll answer that one for you. Clippers going to win by margin. Yeah, for sure. Rudy the Frog Eater. I didn't say I was fading Chet. I was actually trying to ride with him at first, and then I couldn't take the over on him anymore, but I didn't play the under on Chet just yet. That's what I'm saying, J-Miz. If OG does play, he's getting 40 minutes. So I don't know what to do about that. But let me close it out with you guys here again, because I got a freaking dog I got to take out. He's going bananas. I'm gonna be going live every day. This week for sure, Sabe 97. I'm not sure, is that Sabres? Either way, with the hockey mask in there. I'm gonna be going live each day this week. I'm gonna keep looking to get the schedule out for you as well. In fact, I have that schedule right here for you for how I'm gonna be doing things moving forward. Let me show you that real quick. This is the schedule we're looking at. We've got, let me turn this banner off, my bad. We got Tuesday night coming out with another thing for projections for tomorrow. And then Wednesday, tomorrow, live stream 3 p.m. Eastern. Wednesday night, we're going to be doing another projections video for Thursday live stream. Going to do the same thing for Friday as well. We're just going to be grinding this week for all this stuff, and then look to keep upping this show for you guys. I want to put a bunch more elements in there and add a couple more things. I just got to get my ducks in a row. This is all because I had to do it yesterday. This is the reason I started doing these live streams, was like, I don't have graphics because my graphics are screwed. I finally got that back about an hour and a half ago. I got access to them again. These are the picks from yesterday real quick. Monday totals, we did go 4-2 plus 1.6 units. Yo, can you believe that the Cleveland Cavaliers under 112.5 team total hit? I can't. They had 107 with like 6 minutes left in the game, and we hit that one. That was beautiful. On the season now, 21 units up, 27.9 in the play of props. Going to be looking to chase our guy Modi. He's up 65 units, my guy. But we'll keep going with those. Did hit 2-0 on the sides and totals the other day, which I felt great about, so we can get back almost even money on the sides and totals on the season. But we'll keep pushing along here. That is all the time that I have for you guys in this one. Quick look at the schedule again. I'll be back tonight with the projections. Let me give you a quick look at the best bets if you just game in as well. Even though it's like, damn, you didn't have to watch anything. You just had to come in here and get the best bets. That's fine. Full card, I am taking Kyle Lowry over 12.5. These bets I already hit. The next two I'm going to show you, I hit one of them already. But Dame Lillard over 7.5 assists. Jabari Smith Jr. under 28.5 PRA, Wemby over 3.5 blocks. And then as far as the other two bets, I need to hit Dante DiVincenzo under 18.5. Still waiting on that OG Anunoby news. But I even if he plays, I think this is doesn't play. I think this is a good bet. If he does play, I think it's a great bet against Philly. I don't think Dante is going to have the shots because OG eats into the exact shot type that he has. SGA under 6.5 assists. Great look from our guy Crack Sparrow, who put that up in my mentions. And then we had Modi in here who verified that he was playing it. Minus 119 is a good number for that. If you can get that as well as you see it there. Let me change the color so that it's a little bit easier to see. But yeah, so that's where we're at right there. And then the only other thing that I would add here, actually, I don't have anything else to add. That's where I'm at. So we're going to be in there. I want to answer Joe. If you're talking about props.cash, Joe, I didn't want to leave without answering you real quick. Let me know what you mean. I'll stay on the comments for a second once I find the right tab. Bro, too many tabs open. Chet Holmgren, I'm not on Chet right now. I can't do much with him in this moment in time. But yeah. Yep, we got it. We're good. All right. Yeah, I know. He's going crazy, dog. Yeah, hit me up on Twitter if you have any more questions. Really appreciate you guys following along. Subscribe to the page if you would as well. That's super helpful for me. Liking this video, super helpful as well. I'm going to get all this stuff compacted into just the best bets that we're playing and get that up on a quick video for those of you who weren't able to get it. Always available on Twitter. Like I said, hit me up. I will respond as soon as I can, and we'll get it then. Video tonight with projections. Video live stream once again tomorrow. I might even start this a little bit later. Seems like people are coming in hella late, so I don't want to miss you guys, and we'll get you back in there. But until I see you next, happy betting.